Have you ever gone through an entire day on autopilot, smiling, working, talking, only to lie down at night and realize you weren't truly present for any of it? That feeling is a quiet epidemic. In our world, we're told that self-development is a race for more status, more wealth, more external success. It's a path directed entirely outward, but the great psychiatrist Carl Jung revealed that the true path lies in the complete opposite direction. A journey not outward, but inward. A process he called individuation. As Jung explained, individuation means becoming an individual, and insofar as individuality embraces our innermost, last, and incomparable uniqueness, it also implies becoming one's own self. This is the journey to psychological wholeness, to becoming the person you were always meant to be. To truly understand it, we can't just talk about theory, we have to see it through the eyes of someone trapped at the very beginning of this path. So, let's meet Oliver. His life was a carefully curated success story, built on the expectations of others. Oliver was a man who pursued success and self-development, only to face a terrible paradox. The closer he got to everything he thought he wanted, the more miserable he became. Until one night, everything changed. In this video, we'll explore how Oliver followed the path of his individuation and how you can do the same, step by step. The first step on the path of individuation is not an action. It is an act of radical, unflinching perception. Before you can move forward, you must first have the courage to see exactly where you are. As Jung wrote, we cannot go forward except from the place where we happen to be. This requires what Jung called radical self-acceptance. Now, this isn't the gentle, feel-good self-love of pop psychology. It is a stark, sometimes brutal honesty. It means looking in the mirror and accepting everything you see, the good, the bad, and the ugly, without judgment and without excuses. One evening, tired of the hollowness, Oliver decided to take this first step. He sat down with a notebook, not to make a plan, but to take an inventory. He listed his weaknesses, his fear of conflict, his tendency to people please, his chronic procrastination on things that truly mattered to him. He then listed his strengths, many of which he had long dismissed, his quiet empathy, his sharp analytical mind, his forgotten talent for writing. He looked at his past mistakes, not with the usual shame, but as unchangeable facts of his history. He assessed the current conditions of his life, his unfulfilling job, his superficial friendships, as a simple statement of reality. This process was painful. It meant letting go of the comforting story that his problems were all someone else's fault. Jung was ruthless on this point. Dwelling on the sins of our parents or the mistreatment by others is a fool's game, a waste of a life. Only a fool is interested in other people's guilt, since he cannot alter it. The wise man learns only from his own guilt. Something unexpected happened through this inventory. By accepting the facts of his life as they were, Oliver felt a strange shift. A patient of Jung's described this experience in a letter. I always thought that when we accepted things, they overpowered us in some way or other. This turns out not to be true at all, and it is only by accepting them that one can assume an attitude towards them. Acceptance didn't make Oliver a victim of his circumstances. It gave him leverage over them. He was no longer fighting shadows or drowning in denial. He was standing on the firm, solid ground of truth, seeing clearly for the first time. And from this solid ground, he could finally ask the next question: where do I go from here? Now, here's where many people get stuck. Self-acceptance alone can become a trap. Without direction, it risks collapsing into passive resignation, a comfortable paralysis where you see yourself clearly but never move. The journey of individuation demands more than honest self-reflection. It demands engagement with the world. As Jung wrote, "I have observed that a life directed to an aim is in general better, richer, and healthier than an aimless one. A life mission is the engine of individuation. It is through the constant embrace of challenges that we actualize our latent potentials." It is through novel experiences that the hidden parts of our unconscious are brought to light. Without a mission pulling you forward, the journey stagnates. You need something difficult enough to require your full participation, something that forces you to become more than you currently are. For Oliver, this was a terrifying concept. He had spent his life following paths laid out by others. The idea of choosing his own mission felt overwhelming. What if he chose the wrong one? But Jung's wisdom offers a liberating truth. There is no single right choice. Wholeness can be approached from many angles. The only rule is that the choice must be your own. Why are you looking around for help? Jung writes. What is to come is created in you and from you. Hence, look into yourself. Do not compare, do not measure. No other way is like yours. All other ways deceive and tempt you. You must fulfill the way that is in you. Oliver looked back at his inventory of strengths, his forgotten talent for writing. For years, he had harbored a secret desire to write a novel, a strange philosophical story that had been percolating in the back of his mind. It was impractical. It was risky. It made no sense in the context of his corporate career. And for that very reason, he knew it was his. He didn't quit his job. He didn't make a grand announcement. He simply made a quiet pact with himself. His mission would be to write this book, not to get published or become famous, but to answer a call from the deepest part of himself. It was a reason to engage, to struggle, to create. He had his direction. But what he didn't know was that this path would not lead him around his suffering, but directly through it. With his new mission as his compass, Oliver began to walk the path. He woke up an hour earlier each morning to write. He started saying no to social invitations that felt hollow, carving out time for his true work. For the first time, he was making decisions based on his own internal values, not on external expectations. But the path was not a smooth, triumphant march. There were days his writing felt clumsy and meaningless. There were moments of intense self-doubt, where the comfort of his old conformist life seemed incredibly tempting. He made mistakes. He stumbled. And on this path, that was exactly as it should be. Mistakes are not just obstacles. They are the necessary friction that shapes you. They are the feedback that guides your growth. As Jung insisted, we must make mistakes. We must live out our own vision of life. If you avoid error, you do not live. Individuation is not about becoming a perfect, flawless being. It is about becoming a whole one. And wholeness includes the scars, the imperfections, the lessons learned from our errors. To avoid mistakes is to avoid life itself, to remain safely incomplete. Furthermore, choosing your own path doesn't grant immunity from the fundamental pains of existence. Oliver still felt anxiety. He still experienced moments of sadness. Cruel twists of fate were still possible. But here's what changed. The suffering now had context. It was no longer the hollow, meaningless pain of a life unlived. It was the productive struggle of a man building something real. Jung was adamant that we should not flee from our pain, but experience it to the fullest. Real liberation comes not from glossing over or repressing painful states of feeling, but only from experiencing them to the full. When his writing stalled and he felt the familiar pang of despair, Oliver didn't run from it. He sat with it. He let it move through him completely. And in doing so, he found that the feeling, once fully experienced, would pass, leaving behind not a scar, but a new layer of resilience. He was learning that the goal was not to avoid the storms of life, but to build a ship strong enough to sail through them. And with each chapter he wrote, with each mistake he made, with each wave of suffering he endured, his ship was becoming more seaworthy. He was becoming more himself. Months turned into a year. Oliver finished the first draft of his novel. It wasn't perfect, but it was his. It was a tangible manifestation of his inner world. But the true transformation was not on the page. It was in him. The man, who had once felt like a hollow collection of social roles, now felt a solid core. The process of pursuing his mission, of making his own choices, of enduring his own struggles, had integrated the scattered pieces of himself. He could still play the role of employee or friend, but now, underneath the roles, there was a self. There was Oliver. He had come to embody the state of wholeness that Jung described. A consciousness that could engage with the world, but was no longer defined or destroyed by it. He had found a center of gravity within himself. They came to themselves. They could accept themselves. They were able to become reconciled to themselves, and thus were reconciled to adverse circumstances and events. The journey of individuation is the ultimate experiment of a human life. It is an ongoing process, a continuous unfolding. We never reach a final state of perfect wholeness, but the value is in the journey itself. As Jung beautifully put it, our personality develops in the course of life from germs that are hard or impossible to discern, and it is only our deeds that reveal who we are. Only in the evening will it be seen what the morning began. If you, like Oliver, have ever felt like a stranger in your own life, know that this path is available to you. It begins with the courage to see yourself as you are, and it is walked through the discipline of a mission that is uniquely your own. This is not the easy path, but it is the path that leads back to yourself. If you are ready to begin this experiment, to answer the call of your own unfolding self, then your journey starts now. Subscribing to this channel is a commitment to that journey, a step toward becoming the person you were always meant to be.